Figured I would do a neat video here, show you guys how to do a cam while the motor's out. Easiest way to do it. When you buy your swap motor here, this is for my Colorado. This is a 0660 out of a 3500 van. So I'm just going to show you real quick how I do it on engine stand. Super easy way, the easiest way. I've done valve springs and I think and some other stuff before, but all you really need is, well, this is the short end. Maybe we'll get some things as we go, but I have actually a crank pulling tool. This thing works great. It's like a OE Tools brand or one of those. It's a really nice tool. We have done it many ways, and this is definitely worth the $40. It fits like every balancer you can think of. Hemi, LS, Corvette, all sorts of shit. And then there's a 15/16 for taking the crank bolt off. That can be a big pain in the ass. 15 impact, 15 regular, 10, 8 wrench, 1/4 inch impact, and a 1/2 inch impact. So first thing you want to do is we'll pull the valve covers off quick. I usually do right side valve cover. I do left side valve cover. I set them down on the right or left. And then since these can be fairly snug, I like to hit them with, you don't want to strip these out. That'll ruin your life. So you crack them loose, and then you can take care of them with the 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch ratchet's super nice because it maxes out at like 26 foot-pounds. Makes it hard to ruin anything with it. So everything's small. Try that guy first. But just with the RPM and everything, you can end up stripping these 8mm. To get them all cracked. What you're doing here is you're taking, this is the springs pushing down on the rocker and the lifter, and it's pushing the push rod and the lifter against the cam. When you go to take your cam out, you're not going to be able to. There's going to be all sorts of pressure on it. So this is also the first time I'm opening this motor. It'd be neat to see what's in it, but I'll show you how I pull all these guys out. Take them over there, back over here, get nuts, send one flying. Pull the whole bar out. Voila. Pull all these nice push rods out. Another thing we'll do just for fun is we'll take all of the accessories off just to, so there's more room so you can see more. And there's a bolt behind this AC bracket, so I'm not sure if I just pull all of it out. So the bracket and everything. Short one up top. See what I mean? This little ground wire. My friend. And put that in a tiny bit so it doesn't fall on my feet. My OSHA approved footwear. The bottom one and the side one. Some more mint. Try to hold on to this thing. Oh yeah, no problem. Walnuts and shit. Look at these. walnuts, squirrels, glass. Nice. Oh yeah, power steering fluid pouring out. What are you gonna do? Call the EPA. Here's more glass, walnuts. We don't need those. You might be surprised to hear that from me. We don't need the walnuts. Oh yeah. Oh. This broken off or something? That one was surprisingly loose. Interesting. Some of the bolts shorter or what? Anyway. That's what I was talking about, where you need a ratchet. Crack shit loose every now and then. Yep, should be good enough. The 3/8 beast on there. Walnuts. More walnuts. Walnuts every day. Set this guy like this. It's interesting. Very crusty. Water pump was done. Those aren't OEM gaskets. Those are some bullshit gaskets. Either way, next step here. Let's get nuts. One thing I'm gonna have to do is take the oil out of it, because I'm gonna flip this motor over. Most of the time it's a 13 or a 15. 15 it is. I think some of the newer pans have a smaller bolt. Because I'm going to flip this motor over. By far the easiest way to do the cam. Flip it over, leave all the lifters go. Think that'll drain nice? I think so. Not much oil in it. Alright, let's do the crank pulley next. See what happens. Every now and then, you can just knock this son bitch loose with no heat or nothing. Yeah, this one's certainly tight. Whoa, we got our work cut out for us on that one. Anyway, set that guy aside. Sometimes you gotta blast them with some heat then, but I kept seeing it wiggle corner of my eye. And you throw this fangled contraption on, wind her all the way out, the push rod in it. It comes with all different length ones. I just use the longest one right away on the truck one. Works really good. Get it around all the things. Snug it up. Every now and then these are so tight they don't want to come loose. Put a 3/8 on there. You're going to want to use the long one, obviously, for leverage. OSHA footwear, as always. Alright, when it's spinning like that, look at this guy. Nice 1/2 inch demolished. Jam it in there somewhere. Use a pry bar. Yep. Hear that? That's the pulley popping loose. Thud, thud, thud. Now I can actually hold it by hand, but you can see the dirt ring where the seal is keeping the dirt out and the oil in. See it go? Makes this job really easy. I've used this tool like 120 times. So it's well worth the $40 it had cost to buy. It's a beast. There it is. Pop her loose. Every now and then I put axle grease on this thing. You want to, when you have this much pressure and you're forcing a tool that hard, you want to make sure it's oiled, greased. High temp axle grease works great. Well, we'll put this oil pan plug in. No matter what, you're gonna get oil all over the fucking floor, whether you want to or not. There's just shit in the motor. Oil passages, tops, bottoms of the pistons. 10 millimeter again. Calm down. You're gonna want to pull all these timing cover bolts out around this perimeter. There's two underneath. Pop her loose. If she doesn't want to come loose, you can put a pry bar in there like this. Plop. Guy will come right out. Set that down. Drop all fucking bolts in it. Mint. Minty fresh. Balancer out of the way. Another thing you kind of want to do is line up the cam before you install it. Put the bolt in for now. Grab this guy. 1/2-inch socket. Socket wrench, I'm sorry. Ratchet. There's the cam lining mark, and then there's a tooth down in there. We'll turn this pig over. You can kind of see it down in there. Really hard to see. Let me get a light for you guys. Right there, they're about lined up. Can you see it? I don't know. Camera's on my head, but dot there, lined up vertically. You're mint. You're mint, guys. Dreaming. 10 mils again. 10 mils for life. 10 mils all day. 3 for the cam. Gear into the cam. That's what they mean when they say 3-bolt cam gear. Other ones come with a single bolt. Newer ones like displacement on demand and everything. There's the cam plate. And set down your triple bolt. Knock the 10 mils out of your cam plate. Put those 4 in another different spot. They're just slightly shorter. Each one's slightly shorter. You can see oil pan, cam gear, and a cam plate. It's really the only difference. You can interchange them as long as they don't bottom out. We have been running low before and swapped them all, and no big deal. No issues. Now, messy, but easiest way to do this. Pull your pin, and you're gonna flip this motor over so none of the lifters can fall in. The more miles that are on a engine, I mean, this is up and down. We call it Russian roulette with the lifters. When you pull this cam out, the lifters that are sitting on top of it can fall down into the oil pan. That's annoying as hell. You gotta take the cylinder heads off, take everything out, take the pan off, take the plate off, take everything, windage tray, get the lifter back, put the lifter back in, and you can avoid all of that by simply turning the motor over and creating a giant oil mess. So let's not delay and get right to it. Oil and coolant. coming on out of there. Yep, you know, try your best. Even if your best sucks. I won't tell anybody. Now, neat thing you can do with the cam to help manhandle it. Take your water pump bolts. This is a sloppy, patented trick. You just thread 2 of them in, and it's a really nice external handle on the face of this guy to help you out. Now, give it a little movement, spin it around, get it going. You wiggle this Jones gently, get her out of there. And a quick thing you can do, here's a nice tip, which I have fallen victim to. Look at all of these lobes. If you see a lobe that's completely obliterated, it's because you have a bad lifter, and it has taken out the lobes in the cam, or vice versa. So, you very quickly look over this one. It'll look like a rock fall, asphalt shit. It looks like this floor, it's all porous and tore up. All of these look really fucking good. This motor has like 200 and some thousand on it, 188 or 200,000, so it looks beautiful. And you can see maybe the heads of the lifters in there, they're good. Cam bearings, I'm not gonna look at them, never do, don't give a shit. Like we say, change your cams in the dark. Sloppy mechanics. Alright, stock camshaft. You know, I'm not gonna do shit with that. Throw it in the trash later. Wipe off my hands a little. Get this new cam out. JFR Racing custom spec. Says Iskydarian. I think I'm saying that correctly. It says isky cam because Jarrett pays them to cut the cams. It's his design. And this is a 218 112 LSA custom turbo cam for this setup. And a lot of times I don't even lube these cams, but for the sake of this, we will. Since we're doing a video and most people are gonna put some pre-lube on their cam. Most cams will come with it. Jarrett's and the Summit cams always do. And then what I usually do is just apply it to one side. I don't even know if this is really the correct way to do it. No one's ever really instructed me. I'm self-taught. But sometimes at an expense. I just smear it all over this son bitch. I grab my, look at that. This stuff smells great. Thread those water pump bolts back in so you get some good leverage on this. Now they sell like a Summit and some other places sell like a handle. Screws in. I've seen people use, but I don't need that. Water pump bolts for life. Watch your timing chain and guide this thing gently back in. Sorry if that camera's can't see it. Lift the back up, lift the front up, lift the back up, lift the front, wiggle it around. That's pretty much it. You're gonna want to get this shit off your hands. That's it. Now no lifters are even physically able to fall at that point. So super safe way to do it. Figure you're swapping anyway, right guys? Might as well do the cam while the motor's out. Problem-free rockstar status shit right there. Get the shit off my hands. Tool's all fucking slippery. Alright. Take the pin out, turn your fucking motor back over. Iron Giant, motherfucker. That pin in there, sweet. All right, obviously back in the order it came out. Cam plate, cam retainer, that thing, whatever you want to call it, as long as you put it in there. Easy to tell which side's which. This other side facing the block has a like a rubber seal in it. Outside obviously has the oily bolt marks in it. Like I said, a little 1/4 inch impact with a 3/8 drive on it is amazing because it stops at like 26 foot-pounds of torque. It's really hard to over tighten stuff. Yeah, they're fine. You just crack them in there. Now, quick easy tip. You're gonna have to install this tooth down, so you just can shove this guy on and turn it over until you're close. You know, line everything up. You want to get that pin out there. You want to orient this guy or else you're trying to move it later on. Drop the slack below the crank drive. Well, throw the bottom of the timing gear in first so you don't look like a jackass like me. Pull it up tight. Nope. It's off about a tooth. Drop the slack down. Pull it up tight again. Now, that looks decent. What you want to do is make sure you pull the cam out. See that? Came out, locked up nice. And then, now that might take a little bit to line that up. I've done it a bunch of times. And it went really well, surprisingly, even on camera. Sometimes the worst shit happens while you're videotaping. What we're gonna do is throw our Harbor Freight flashlight into the bottom drawer of the toolbox. All right, now you can see here, again, the dot on the cam gear and the dot on the cam, the crank and the cam gear. What you wanna do, spin it over all the way and make sure they line up again. Yep, dot to dot. What it does is giving it a full rotation makes sure that, you know, there wasn't some sort of, you weren't looking at it crooked or there was something else going on. Yep, you can see they're off a tooth each, on a tooth each, off a tooth each. And people ask all the time, you know, my timing chain's loose. I don't know. They're always fucking loose. You buy a brand new one, it's gonna be loose too. So, I always tell people save their money. Just keep using the stock timing chain. I've never seen a stock timing chain break. Never. 340-some thousand miles on motors and no fucking problem at all. That last Fairmont I built, it went 960, made like 700 on 17 pounds of boost. That motor had like 275,000 miles on it, at least 250,000. No issue. No issue with the timing chain, 7,000 RPM, pedaling burnouts. You can knock your crank bolt loose. And then a really easy way to do this is to heat that guy up. So, I didn't used to do this. I used to sit here and hammer them on forever. But I have definitely learned heating the crank pulley up makes it slide on way, way, way easier. Like stupid easy. Shut this guy off. So, fire up your torch. And then I just try to get the edge, try to get the inside. You could actually just sit here and walk it in a circle, but I basically do this till the color starts to change. Then I know it's pretty hot. You'll see like a bluing. And honestly, this helps it, this expands it. I used to just hammer them on, and you can do that. Some people will tell you you'll take out your thrust bearing, but I've never done it. You sit with a block of wood and just fucking hammer this thing on. But if you've got a heat source, even like if you're working in winter, you can put this on a jack stand in front of your space heater, in front of a torpedo heater. Or you can propane torch it, put it in an oven for a couple hundred degrees for a couple minutes. I've heard of people doing that, but it slips right on there. Because what we used to do when we'd hammer the fuck out of them is break the ribs, break the lip off of this thing, you know. Keep heating this guy up. Really no good way to set this here, huh? You want to put the timing cover on for this. So, normally I would go throw that guy in front of my torpedo heater in the winter, but I just bought that torch the other day. I was so excited to use it, I forgot to tell you to do this. See, you got this has definitely got to go on before you put the balancer on. Apologies, first mistake. Not bad though. Towards the end of the video, it won't be long till we're done, very honestly. You want to get all these threaded in. You can tighten one of them down and not get any other ones in. Alright. I'm sure this will still be pretty hot. We'll keep torching the balls out of it. I think once before I held my temp gun up to it. Got it to like 250 or 300 degrees. Since the crank is relatively cold, slides right on. Starting to turn a little blue. It's certainly hot right now. You can feel the heat. See, it's starting to smoke. Usually when I think it's hot enough. You can smell it. You want to get a hammer, help bop it on there. Huh? Didn't need it at all. That's how you do it. Makes it look really fucking easy, doesn't it? It went totally flat. Now a lot of people are like, this is a two-piece balancer. There's rubber, so you can see some oil and stuff bubbling in there. A lot of people are like, doesn't that ruin your seal? You can see it has already cooled off, touching the crank, that you cannot, you would have to use the puller again, because the crank is cold, it cools it off immediately. People worry about this crank seal, which, well, a motor with 300,000 miles on it's gonna be shitty anyway. Doesn't look like it was leaking though. But realistically, this seal, this engine, this balancer, everything was meant to be at around 200 degrees anyway, so 250 isn't gonna melt the seal. It's fine. So, that is it for that. Just throw that propane shit apart. And the cam is in. It's timed. Everything else. These high temp gloves over here. And you can go right back to, this still has stock valve springs in it. Maybe when I get those I'll do a thing on valve springs, but pretty sure I've showed how to do valve springs many times. Drop your push rods in, click your lifters back down, and grab the whole rocker tray. This is another thing, you want to definitely start these by hand. You don't want to fuck up the head. Replace the whole head when you're so far ahead of the game with the head already being installed. Set down the 10 milli, grab the 8 milli. Yeah, push that spring right down. What's really cool is, I think stock torque spec is 26 foot-pounds, which is right around exactly this guy maxes out. Another fun fact about the small impact guns. A cool fact about LS motors is passenger side cylinder bank is always cleaner than the driver's side. Crankcase ventilation or something has to do with that. This side's always cleaner than the other side unless the whole motor is beautifully clean. Which this guy was in a work van, so she's a fighter. Grab that 8 milli, get nuts. Then what you want to do, honestly, is take a smaller ratchet, like a little 6-inch. Go over these by hand. You just want to pull on them with a smaller ratchet. Make sure they're all fucking tight, because you might warm up your motor and it might start clattering. One of these things will get loose. I'm always kind of afraid to over tighten these, so sometimes I pussyfoot them. Honestly, I would say maybe 25% of the time I gotta retighten these, but I'm scared to strip them. Don't know what to tell you. And then got my Zing Zing. Nine-inch nails. All right. Then I just put the fucking crank bolt back in. That's it. She's done other than valve springs. All cammed out. Throw your water pump and new gaskets on and accessories, and that's it. Pretty easy, right? Not bad at all. I know you guys have been, some of you are requesting a little bit longer video. No, I've been busy, they've been short. I've just been putting up what I can when I remember. So let me know what you think of the whole cam install.